Mr. Kane, do you have any cucumbers at home? Can I have one? Storytelling. The release came abruptly, and in the process, I realized I had made a mess of things. Now, there were two stains on Lexi's underwear. If she were to notice, it would be impossible to explain. Flustered, I hastily tucked everything back in place, intending to deal with it by throwing it into the washing machine the next day. After that, I turned on the hot water and took a quick shower. When I finally stepped out, I wrapped a towel around myself and left the bathroom. As I stepped out of the bathroom, I caught Lexi's gaze lingering on my lower body. There was an intensity in her eyes, so much so that it made me wonder, is she thinking about the same thing as I am? Just then, the storm outside grew fiercer. With a sudden snap, the power went out, and the entire room plunged into darkness. Amanda let out a frightened cry and rushed straight into my arms. Her soft, full curves pressed tightly against me, and our lower bodies were practically glued together. A shiver ran down my spine. This was my daughter. I could never let my thoughts go astray. I quickly pushed her away and fumbled to switch on my phone's flashlight. A faint beam of light cut through the darkness. To my surprise, the person before me wasn't Amanda but Lexi. She stood there, looking at me with the most pitiful eyes. So, it had been Lexi who had thrown herself into my arms earlier. An invisible bolt of lightning struck me. Every nerve and fiber in my body was screaming over the same thing. In a soft, almost trembling voice, she said, "I'm so scared, Mr. Kane." I didn't have time to comfort her. Turning the light toward the couch, I saw Amanda curled up there, hugging herself and shaking. "Go back to the room," I told them. "Get in bed and lie down. Everything will be all right." Under my escort, Amanda and Lexi returned to their room, curling up under the blankets. I went back to mine, but my mind was anything but calm. Lexi's face and the memory of that brief, unexpected closeness kept replaying in my head. Sleep wouldn't come. Late into the night, I heard a soft, uneven sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded alluring. Quietly, I got up and crept toward the bathroom. The door was slightly ajar, and a faint light spilled out into the hallway. Peering into the bathroom, I saw Lexi sitting on the toilet, legs wide apart, with nothing covering her core, looking delicate. Not only that, but she was also holding my underwear, greedily sniffing it. I happened to have a clear view of everything. She extended a hand and slowly made her way down to the core, wildly fingering it. I could almost feel blood running down my nose. How was this any different from tempted me into doing something bad? Should I just go in and help relieve her? Amid my hesitation, Amanda's voice came from the bedroom. "Lexi, are you not done yet? Hurry up. I'm scared." Lexi jumped, quickly putting my underwear away. She straightened her clothes before heading for the door. "I'll be right out." Realizing that I was about to be discovered, I hastily bolted back into my room. When I lay in bed, my heart was pounding. It was surprising how unpredictable life could be. Even at 40, I met an 18-year-old who was eager enough to sniff my underwear. The prospect of a life rich in intimacy filled me with sheer ecstasy. The next morning, I got up early to make breakfast. The hurricane was still raging outside, and our supplies were limited. Hence, every meal had to be rationed carefully. During breakfast, Lexi sat across from me. She fidgeted a bit, playfully nudging my leg with her foot. I froze for a moment, then glanced at Amanda, who was focused on her meal, unaware of what was happening under the table. I exhaled and relaxed, enjoying the softness gliding around my leg. She even made my calf feel ticklish. Above the table, she was enjoying her breakfast, eyeing me with a mischievous look. I awkwardly smiled back. Suddenly, she dropped her fork, so she bent down to pick it up. I thought she would come right back up a second later, pretend nothing was happening, and continue her meal. To my surprise, she suddenly grabbed my foot and began sliding her tongue along my calf. Her wetness slowly traveled up to my thigh and eventually stopped at my groin, repeatedly drawing circles. That strange, tingling sensation filled me with a rush of excitement. Goosebumps rose all over my skin, and I could hardly stay calm in my seat. My hair stood on end, but all I could do was force myself to stay still so that Amanda wouldn't notice anything awry. Yet not only did Lexi not stop, but she also started tugging at my pants.